ABC, as a lead organization, partnered with another African American organization. We each invited our respective friends in terms of community groups. And we got, similar to what you're doing here, about 30 different organizations that pushed a community campaign across LA specifically. LA County has 81 school districts in it. So we just did LAUSD in particular, which has at the time had 750,000 students. So it's incredibly large. It's the second largest high school in the nation. So we, just an overview of what we did, we had an A through G roundtable where we actually just pulled together a bunch of experts. Linda came down and talked to us, and we just had it out about what we want to do with our high schools. And dropout in A through G, of course, rose to the top of the conversation. And the group chose A through G because they felt that A through G was a lever for systematic change, pre-K to 12, because they knew in order to get kids ready at 9th grade, you couldn't start at 9th grade, you had to start way back. And that also, if you wanted to get all kids ready for A through G, you had to do something about your EL students, your special ed students, your Latino and Brown students, which are all your traditionally underserving students. So we did a mission, we did a goal. We met with LAUSD, we had them come and present on their outcomes. San Jose, Linda came down, and we really tried to model our efforts off their experience. We had a policy agenda. We kept up this power analysis, what we called it, which is mapping all the different stakeholders that were involved, and as they would shift, we try to keep them over to our corner. We sent in a letter to LAUSD asking them for a formal kind of consideration of A through G. They didn't respond. We met with them. This is all under Governor Romer. He's no longer there. We now have Superintendent Brewer. And like the video said, we only had one person inside who was our ally, and that was a school board member. Everyone else was formally opposed to what we were doing. We got letters of support from businesses, the labor community, the UCs, the CSUs, the community colleges. We did the community campaign. We got up to 20,000 postcards in support of this. We held several press events. Jack O'Connell came down. We did a briefing for all of our elected officials where we had parents and students presenting to the electeds on the outcomes they wanted for their own children or for themselves. And we held several, we call them college fairs, that attracted 5,000 kids at the district at the time of their school board meetings that happened to be covered by helicopters with cameras, and with everyone holding signs saying we want A through G. And when we went to the school board vote, it was supposed to be in May. They delayed it, as the video said, for 1 month. When we had the school board vote, we did not know if we had 4 votes. The morning of, at 6 a.m., we had a meeting at the school board in Jose Huizar's office, and we were counting our votes, and we still had 1. and the vote was going to be taking place in about 5 hours. We ended up with 6-1 in favor of A through G, with only 1 and against A through G, and she remains against A through G, but we're still trying to work with her. And then post-resolution, what we did for implementation, similar to what Dr. Murray talked about, we chose a class that was part of the compromise, so we wanted it done right away, but the school board said as a compromise we wanted to have the class of the 6th graders, because they had been improving their elementary scores. So they said, take these year's current 6th graders, which are coming off some good results, and we'll work with them over the middle school years and get them prepared for high school. So in 2008, this July 1, it becomes a default curriculum for all incoming 9th graders and becomes a requirement in 2012. So we gave them a lot of time. That was one of the big negotiating points that we had. But again, this was with a system that was not willing to kind of move to A through G on their own. And then they also established an A through G advisory committee made up of everyone that you guys just kind of talked about, everyone from the district, the parents, the community folks, the school board members, the staff. And it's met on a monthly basis since 2005 and done almost nothing. But again, there's been lots of resistance inside, and I'll talk about that in a little while. Where we have had more successes in our community education collaboratives, the same community group decided to try to work in the areas, because we were all located in different geographic areas of Los Angeles, to work in 5 communities of LA where we would kind of adopt the local schools in our community and push really hard to do model programs in those 5 communities. And we have done that, and I'll talk about the successes we've had here in a second. The 3-year assessment since the A through G has passed, as you've heard here today, leadership, leadership, leadership. You can't do it unless you have leadership at the central and school level. It's key that you have the superintendent that really forms this vision and drives it down among staff. And it's key also that your principal does the same thing at every school level, because you're going to have naysayers, both at the administrative central level and at your teacher site, but that district leadership really provides a lot of kind of the mandate, this is where we're going to go. And we have not had that for the most part in LAUSD. Both the superintendents that have had this issue during their reign have said they're on board with A through G, but done very little to encourage staff to move forward with it. We saw A through G as a lever, as I mentioned, for comprehensive change. The district sees A through G as 15 courses that they need to implement. They have not done anything to think about this as a pre-K through 12 effort or as a high school reform effort. It's just how do we add those extra 3 classes, because in LA they're 3 classes short, which is another interesting thing. Depending on what your current graduation efforts, you don't have to, it's not a big jump from where you are now to A through G. It's usually 2 or 3 courses. So in LA it was 3 courses.